An appalling picture. It's very rude.
Hello, Min-Minners. So you've watched every how to make the most broken S-tier ultimate make your DM cry character build and consumed every Theater Kid roleplay bootcamp embody your OC character voice practice video out there. And now, you're here. This video will teach you how to make your D&D characters better by making them objectively worse. How? Well, I'm Antonio D'Amico, this is Pointy Hat, and let's get to it. In this brand new episode of Tip of the Hat. So first off, do not worry. This is not me telling you to play a bard with a negative charisma score or a wizard with low intelligence. This isn't a video about how great of an idea it is to give yourself an unusable character for roleplay purposes or whatever. I really don't believe in that, actually. I think there's no real roleplay benefit to being a detriment to your table because you thought it would be quirky to make your blow unable to carry their own weight in the group roleplaying game. Want to make a character that is really bad at being a wizard because they're dumb? Great. Make them a warlock that made a pact so that they could pass themselves as a wizard. There you go. Now you can have the worst intelligence score known to man and access to the same roleplay and storytelling opportunities and get to actually play a competent character that doesn't make your party worse. So if it's not that, then what is it? Well, this video is much darker. You see, I've literally never seen anyone talk about this, like not formally, but this is a dark art I've been practicing for ages. Because you see this in fiction all the time, and I wanted to try it. I barely get the opportunity to play, I prefer DMing, but when I do play, I always give my character a malus. What is a malus? It's a neologism for penalty. A video game neologism at that. In video game world, a buff is something that makes you, most of the time, temporarily more powerful, like the spell haste in D&D, whereas a debuff is something that makes you temporarily less powerful, like the spell slow. A bonus is often used for a buff that isn't temporary, it's just always there, whereas a malus is often used for a debuff that isn't temporary, it's always there as well. These two have gotten mixed up, especially with live service games, where changes to a character's kit are called buffs and debuffs, but I like the original use better, so I'm using that. So a malus is an ongoing debuff, a penalty, something that makes you objectively less powerful or gives you a limitation. Why would you inflict this on your poor unsuspecting character? Well, I'm gonna use the first half of this video to try to convince you to try this out, and the second half to show you how to do it. Let's go. Why would you give yourself a malus? Why would you make your character objectively worse? Well, I have several reasons. Here they are in an easy to parse and internet-friendly numbered list. Number 1, a new challenge. A good malus will bring an additional layer of challenge to playing D&D that you literally cannot get from anywhere else, because it's not codified into the game. If you've played for a while, and I do mean a good long while, I guess this is the part where I tell you to maybe not do this for your very first D&D character. Get yourself some more of those sexy sea legs before you try to make D&D actively more difficult than it already is. But if you're a hardened veteran and you know that
war never changes,
or whatever, you should 100% try a malus. Because if you're one of those sickos, like I am one of those sickos.
I'm weird. I'm a weirdo.
That actually enjoys when the game is more difficult and doesn't allow you to rely on your tried and true methods of problem solving, so you have to come up with new ones. You're gonna love this. Nothing scratches that itch better than a malus. Number 2, turn backstory into story. Maluses are perfect for doing an extremely powerful thing, making something about your backstory a part of the actual game you're actually playing without needing your DM to throw some breadcrumbs your way. For the sake of this example, I'm gonna use scared of ghosts as a malus and show you what you can do with that. You can tell your party that you are scared of ghosts because your grandma was killed by a ghost or whatever, all you want. And if you're obnoxious enough about repeating it constantly, they might actually remember that detail. But you know what can bring that backstory detail to life without you needing to repeat it every session? If you make it into a malus. Suddenly, your character has disadvantage on attacks against incorporeal undead at a certain range, or they have disadvantage on their wisdom saving throws against any effect cast by undead, or they have to roll a wisdom check or gain the frightened condition every time they see an undead. Maluses bring something out of backstory and into actual play. Not actual play as in Twitch streaming, as in actually playing the game. And I love it. Number 3, characterization through play. Strongly related to the last one, but still worth explaining because I've seen thousands of roleplay tips and none of them brought this up. You know the whole show don't tell thing? Maluses can kind of feel like the show to the roleplays tell. Seeing exactly how your character is affected mechanically by your malus can make whatever is causing your character to behave that way actually feel real at the table. It can really show how big of a deal this was for your character to the other players. Caleb Widogast from campaign 2 of Critical Role could have just said, "Fire is scary to me," but the fact that he has to roll fail a saving throw or be stunned every time he commits a tiny bit of a war crime involving burning people up, drove home just how hard for him it was to Shadowheart having to roll wisdom saves every time she sees the vague outline of a wolf made the mystery as to why was she so scared of wolves that much more intriguing. And by doing the exact same thing yourself, guess what? It'll be intriguing to the other players too. And it's hard to ignore. Why? Because it has an actual mechanical weight in the actual game. You couldn't just send her off to deal with the puppies. She had to have her emotional support spirit guardians to deal with them for her. Actually, if you think about it, most of the cast of Baldur's Gate 3 had a malus. Gale and his magical hungry hippos disease, which I wish would have gone on for longer, or Karlach being hot. The funniest thing is that Astarion, the actual vampire, the perfect character to showcase Maluses, ended up having none to speak of, which to me made him feel anything but a vampire. On account of him, you know, not needing to drink blood, being able to be in the sun, and being able to eat all the normal people foods since he regains HP back with the long rests that are determined by food. I'm not saying he needed all of the vampire Maluses, I am saying that giving him one would have actually made him feel more like a vampire. I literally forgot he was one for like most of Act 1 and all of Act 2. Astarion fans, don't get mad at me. This is barely a criticism. Please don't kill me. Here's the fan cam. Leave me alone. Stay back. Stay back. Number 4, gain a goal. Okay, for my last number, I'm gonna argue that Maluses give you an extremely tangible goal to work towards. A lot of people, I think, would really like to have the coveted arc of the character. Oh, sorry, I meant character arc in their D&D games. A character arc is when a character starts a story one way, and because of what happens in the story, said character changes, and most of the time growing and becoming better, although that is not mandatory. Giving yourself a malus basically ensures that you get a character arc, because you start with something that actively hinders you, and if your DM pays a little attention, they'll see opportunities for you to 1. Showcase this malus to the other players, and 2. Give you a chance to get over your malus. Bam! Character arc, baby! Your little character sheet man has changed and grown because of their adventure in tangible ways that actually affect gameplay. Okay, we've talked a whole bunch about Maluses and what they can do for you, but let's just take a moment to remember why we're doing this. To make our characters better, to give us more options at character creation. But what if we could go further with the whole malus thing? What if instead of just a malus, we want to actually experience playing a character with vampirism, or lycanthropy, or stricken by an evil curse? What about literally transforming into an aberrant horror far beyond anyone's comprehension, and fighting and then taming these transformations to use them for our own goals? Well, this is literally one of the many things you can do with Grimhollow Transformed. Yes, you have 100% heard of this, and they are here to make you sure you do not forget, because Grimhollow is back with some of the best 5e content out there if your bag is spooky, ooky, kooky, or creepy. Perfectly timed for October. Grimhollow Transformed is the completely revised, rehauled, reworked, and revamped get it? Edition of the, at this point, classic dark fantasy twist to D&D 5e. Do you like your D&D with a twist of the macabre? Are you interested in exploring a less whimsical version of sword and sorcery? In search for the perfect Halloween one-shot? Do you like The Witcher a normal amount? Grimhollow Transformed is for you. They have plenty, and I do mean plenty, of stuff for DMs, but a personal favorite of mine is their extremely in-depth, and reworked, remember, this is the new and improved version. They have new monsters of their monstrous transformations, which can be used both for players and DMs, and like 1,000 more things, down to like 40 subclasses, yes, 40, an entirely new monster hunter class, once again, something springs to mind, and a full campaign guide. And listen up, it's on D&D Beyond. That's right, literally nothing has been easier to add to your existing games. It might as well be baked into the core system when it comes to dark fantasy at this point. So if this sounds like your bag, and Halloween is coming up, so it might as well be, go check out their Kickstarter. They are killing it as usual, and they have like 1,000 goodies for you if you pledge, so go take a look. And thank you to Ghostfire for sponsoring this video. And now, back to our own pointy hat Maluses. Okay, so hopefully I've made a good enough case for you to give this malus thing a try. Or more like 4 convincing cases, hopefully. So, how does one procure themselves one of these maluses I speak of? Well, listen up, because as cool as they can be, maluses can very much turn things around and just be bad for the game. So we gotta make them right. How? Well, let's go through rules on making them through a YouTube-friendly numbered list. Oh god, I can't do another numbered list again. I seem to have this problem way too frequently. Well, number A, make it relevant. In order for your malice to allow you to do all the cool things we just outlined, you have to make sure that it actually comes up in the game. Pretty self-explanatory bar to clear here. If your malice is that you can't swim and you never ever encounter water in your campaign, you might as well not have a malice at all. You want to make your malice either intrinsic, something your character has to do or can do, like a disadvantage on specific conditions, or something that happens when you use one of your abilities in a certain way. Once again, Caleb immolating people is a good example of this. Or you make it extrinsic, but you make it something you know will come up. If your campaign is set in the 9 hells, you can make your malice disadvantage on insight checks against fiends for whatever backstory reason. And you can do it that way because you know it will come up. I am once again asking you to communicate to your DM about this. And speaking of, number B, don't make it ever present. Your malice cannot be, I'm a pacifist, so I make all attacks at disadvantage. Unless you're playing, I don't know, Bard, and your entire build is crowd control and indirect damage through stuff like heat metal. The disadvantage on attack rolls against undead is a good example of where this line is. That would be a decent malice in a campaign where the undead have a presence, like they exist, but in a campaign that happens in Halloween Town, the undead demiplane where everything and everyone is undead, including this dresser, then that's a really great example of what not to do. That malice is ever present. You are now a liability to your party, and you might as well do the thing that people that believe that being bad at combat means you're good at roleplay do, where they make a bard with like negative charisma and try to convince you it was some sort of masterful gambit reserved to improv kings and roleplay masters as enemies succeed against their 7th saving throw in a row. So yeah, your malice should come up, but if it's coming up constantly, you've gone too far. And speaking of being a liability, number C, have respect for your table. This is your fun, and your fun is important, but your fun is not so important that you can allow it to trample all over the table, knocking off everyone else's fun. If your malice is that you're a kleptomaniac and you're constantly derailing every single quest because you keep getting thrown in jail,
Attenzione, pickpocket!
antagonizing every single friendly NPC you come across, or worse, stealing from your party, congrats! You didn't give your character a malice, your character is a malice to the rest of the party, and they didn't agree with that. You are now literally a negative addition to the game, and you are well on track to become a D&D horror story post on Reddit. Have fun getting featured on Crit Crap. When selecting a malice, absolutely 100% get your DM's permission to do so. Don't just show up unannounced with, my character has to cast Fireball every time they see the color Periwinkle, because Periwinkle killed my mom. Check with your DM. But it's also a good idea to check with your other party members if they are okay with your malice being a thing at the table. See if it would bother them. I know if you came up to me telling me your character has to steal from the party, I would tell you I'm not cool with that. I literally put that down as a line whenever I play. I would also ask you what possessed you to play as an original Kender in the year of our Lord 2024. Like, do you like being hated by everyone? Is that like a kink for you? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Bottom line, when selecting a malice, talk with your table and think about its implications before you are AITA'd to hell and back. Okay, number list done, but talk is cheap. We've done a whole lot of what to do and what not to wear, so let's do something actually productive and come up with some malices to actually get you started. For our first one, what about a little girl that kept complaining to her parents that she was scared of the basement, only to find out there was a literal portal down there to the Shadowfell? Her parents did not believe her, but that quickly changed the night they were taken by something that crawled through the portal and dragged them into the plane of shadow. The little girl has been deathly afraid of the dark ever since, and she became a light domain cleric to stave off the shadows. Her malice is that whenever she's in total darkness, she gains the frightened condition. Okay, that's a good one. Here's another one. School of Divination wizard belonging to a long line of extremely gifted diviners, except his gift came out weird. He can only see misfortune in the future. Not one of his visions is positive. Only bad things will happen if he looks into the future. His malice is that he cannot use his portent ability to help, only to hinder, which means that he can use them on attack rolls, since that's misfortune for the enemy, or on saving throws, since that's misfortune on either the caster or the one being casted on. But he cannot use a portent to ensure that someone is successful at climbing a wall or jumping over a chasm. Amazing. Last one, hear me out, a human that is not a human at all. They are a tiefling in an extremely anti-tiefling nation. They have a disguised self amulet that allows them to pass as human, but they must feed it the soul of a human every month to keep the illusion going. If they don't, they will find themselves having a very hard time as people see their true form. More of a roleplay malice rather than a mechanical one. Okay, I'm tired. I guess you'll have to come up with a bunch of them on your own if you don't like these ones. I can't be bothered to do more. Just kidding. I made a whole bunch, like a whole bunch, with all of their mechanical implications and how to integrate them to your table. And they're available to you for free. 100% certified, Pointy at 0.90 nothing. The great list of Maluses is available for you to use with your next character, or even for a DM to use for NPCs. Why not? Hope you like it. But what if you are in need of help in the actual character creation department? Well, I made this video a while ago and it's still one of the most popular videos on the channel. Go check it out. I think it's quite different from most D&D advice out there. And if Maluses are your thing, maybe the sorcerer video with a free subclass in it all about bearing a curse could be a fantastic combo with your Malus. Okay, love you. Don't become a D&D cautionary tale. Bye. Mwah.